Hi, everybody. This is Victoria Longo with this week's Friday at 5. Thank you all for joining me. I apologize. Not apologize. I actually took time off last week to not post a new video. I had some things that were going on in my life, especially just coming back and recovering from traveling for so many hours and getting acclimated. I just needed some time and space to adjust for me and to take care of my well-being. And so I opted to just take a step back for a week and take care of myself. I actually got hit with a cold and or sinus infection on the plane ride back. As well. So that's where I've been. It was, I had a really incredible trip to Bali that I was returning from. Just really amazing. And so when I came back, I actually took some time to figure out what do I want to bring forward in my life. I'm looking at, I'm always continuously evolving, asking questions, trying to be a better version of me. And so, I wanted to see, is this something that I want it to continue? Is this fun? Is there somewhere else I want it to direct my attention to? And create for myself and for my future. And the truth is that the program that I have, the Relationships Reimagined, has actually taken a really big shift where I was not anticipating it. I figured it was relationships, and I knew that with my psychic readings, significant others were always the priority, right? In that relationship. And so when I started marketing my new program, Relationships Reimagined, that's really where the focus was on relationships and partnerships and building better connections with people, because so many people, that's what they're craving, right? But with this trip and since coming back, what I've realized is that Relationships Reimagined is actually every single relationship that we have in our lives. It's our relationship with money. It's our relationship with food. It's our relationship with ourself. And each one of these aspects actually contributes to the greater whole. And so instead of just focusing on relationships with love, which is still huge, I am going to be expanding this out and touching on some other topics. So if there's any suggestions that you have, as always, I am open to hearing them, and I can certainly share my thoughts on them. For this week, I actually am going to continue on the trend of relationships with people in our lives, because I had seen a video. I don't know if any of you have ever followed Juggling the Jenkins. It's a woman who's a former addict, and she explains so with Juggling the Jenkins, she just did a video about addiction and how to know if you're actually enabling an addict and not helping them in their recovery. Now, she does go on to say that she's not, a therapist or a counselor. It's just based off her own experience as an addict with her loved ones. And it's basically her point being that if you are helping them in any way, giving them a roof over their heads, giving them money, coffee, cigarettes, in any capacity, you're actually enabling their addiction, right? And that when you're doing that, you're not actually doing it to help the other person. It really is for yourself, right? Which is something that is hard to look at. This is something that's actually hard to look at, and it does, I want to flesh it out into other relationships, because there is a very large population that has actually never had to fail. We have entitled them to believing life is a certain way and handing things over so that they don't experience failure, right? Because we want to see them succeed. Failure is bad, success is good. And so we've trained them this way. In the same way that, you learn the most when you fail. You learn the most when things don't go your way. And unfortunately, we can't control all pieces of life, right? We can't control that when we apply for a job that there's somebody who's better qualified or that there's somebody else that this employer wants. And so we might fail. And if we've never had to experience that before, it actually does handicap us. It does really limit us and our ability to function, because we don't know how to be with that, because we've grown up entitled to things going our way. So we don't understand why, when we show up late, when we don't do the job, why it's not just given to us, why, there's consequences for our actions, because we've never had to answer to consequences. And I don't know where this actually came from or how it started, but I've seen it over and over and over again. And I've heard parents talk about it and especially in relation to children, where they feel this obligation to, this compulsion to give their child a better life by minimizing these blows, but the children are then not able to function on their own and not able to deal with failure when it does happen, right? And so death is going to happen. Parents aren't always going to be there. We're not always going to get what we want. Things aren't always going to go our way. And instead of learning how to deal with that in a healthy way, it's been avoided. Everything has been done to stop that and limit that. And so when failure does happen, when death does happen, when life does happen, these individuals go into a complete and total meltdown because they're not skilled in dealing with failure. They're not skilled in dealing with those types of emotions or situations. And so they don't know how to act, right? And yes, we want to help, right? We want the best. We don't want people to watch our loved ones not succeed. And there's a lot in this, right? So one, if I go back to the video that actually inspired this, where it's about us, well, yeah, we don't want to look bad, right? We don't want to be the bad person. We want people to like us. Oh my God, we want people to like us. So we're going to help them. We don't want to be judged. We don't, we want to look good, right? So we help other people, right? Because of all of these reasons. And also, we're constantly giving ourselves away. Who's watching out for us? Who's actually really taking care of us? We're so worried about everybody else and making sure nobody else fails, but we're exhausted and we're depleted, and we let ourselves go, and then we're miserable because nobody is actually there for us, right? And so I've lived through that, where I really tried to live for other people, to make them successful, to give them jobs and give them opportunities. And I am talking specifically about my last relationship, but this can be applied in really a multitude of relationships where we put ourselves out there. And I didn't get anything back, right? I didn't make him any more successful. Like, he still failed. And the only thing that it got me was, exhausted and burnt out and stressed and anxious. So at some point we do have to step back and take care of ourselves and not enable others and not help others to their detriment, right? Now there is helping others. And if our cup is full, right? If we're feeling so good, then yes, reach out, right? Now as an example, I'm coming back from a trip. I took a weekend, a little bit longer, a couple of days to really recover, feel better, because I was not feeling well. And now that I'm offering services to help a community heal from a tragedy, right? So I am offering myself out there because I feel well enough to do it. I'm able to be in the space that it's not like, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I want people to like me. It's from my heart that I'm doing it. And again, I have the space and the time and the resources to be able to offer that now versus barely putting food on my table and trying to make sure all of my kids' student loans are paid so that they don't have to worry about that stress. But didn't they go to school to get a job to, yes, college is expensive and you can go down these rabbit holes, but if you're looking to plan to retire, are you counting on your kids then, kicking back to you? Because chances are they might not. And then what? Now you've depleted your life savings to pay their student loans that they took out to attend college, because they had to. So there's so many implications that this can go. But really, if we bring it back to just what do we need, what do we require for ourselves, and then giving from a space of not because we want people to like us, not because we don't want them to fail, not because we don't want them to be hurt, but really from a space of genuine, it's also way more empowering, in my point of view, to give to somebody from a space where, we have it instead of looking at them as a victim and that they can't handle anything on their own. Like if I had somebody here, right? And I was like, oh, I don't want you to fail, because you can't be successful without my help, right? That's the underlying message, even though we don't say it. It's like, I don't want to see you fail, so I'm going to do all of these things. It's not empowering. It's making them weak. It's making them a victim. And then again, it spirals out of control when things don't go their way versus like, hey, I think you got this. If you need something, let me know, right? If you need help, let me know. They attempt it and they don't ask for help, but you can see that there's a desire. Put it out there. The way that I just did, which was like, hey, I'm offering this. It's available if you need it. And then let them make the choice. For me, it's a way more empowering place for them to choose for their own life, what they require, what they need, and to figure it out than it is to constantly bend over backwards to hand it to them because they can't handle life on their own without us, right? So I know this is a very, in the video I watched, she mentioned that people were probably not going to like it. They were going to be mad, and she was going to say it anyway because it's the truth. And so I'm saying it anyway because this is what I've seen as true with people having anxiety attacks and panic attacks over the simplest things because they've never been given the tools to deal with it. That is selfish, that we've never, ever given this generation these tools to survive. Like, to me, that's so fucked up that we've made these people so handicapped that they can't survive without us. That is not an empowering place, from my perspective. So if you disagree with what I'm saying, maybe look at what's there for you, right? Because again, if we really want to help somebody, we have to let them hit rock bottom sometimes. We have to let them figure it out because they will, right? And they'll gain confidence, which won't send them spiraling into anxiety because they don't know how to do it and there's nobody to help them do it, right? If they're confident and they got this, yeah, anxiety might pop up like, oh, this is new. I don't know. I've never done it before. But guess what? I've got all of these examples of how I have done it in my past. So yeah, I can do it and it's going to be scary, but I'm going to do it anyway. And if I fail, I've got a whole support group that's going to be there to, hug me and hold me and say, try again, right? So just my 2 cents on, an extension of her video. Again, hers was focused on addicts. Mine is expanding out into the bigger picture of what we offer to people, to society, to generations, and what it is we're actually creating with that. So, if you're looking to make some changes, start with saying no. Start with letting people figure it out on their own. Are they going to be mad? Yeah, because they've never had to do it before. They've been accustomed to having it a certain way. So you're going to have to deal with the consequence of your action when you start saying no, because you've always said yes. But in the long run, it might be easier to say yes, but at what cost? And I feel like maybe I touched on this in another video. I don't know. Could just be my deja vu, but I leave that out there. If you are interested in navigating relationships more in depth, I do have my program, Relationships Reimagined, available. So feel free to send me an email and we can have a conversation about that. Otherwise, I hope that you all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week for next Friday at 5.